Welcome back to MugenCast episode 18. I have a special guest with me today. Sir, can you reveal yourself to the audience?
Hello.
Hello. I have Isai Alvarez, the man, the myth, the legend around these parts, hailing from Lebanon, PA.
Oh, God.
In the car with me today. And I decided to have E on because I thought he was a very interesting individual. I definitely wanted to diversify the guests, and this is the first time I've had you on here. And I've talked to you about having you on the podcast before, so I figured, what better day than today? June 17th, 2019. So, how you feeling, E? How you doing?
I mean, I'm alive. I am here. I feel like I have a lot of things to be happy for. So, yeah, I'm pretty good, you know?
Good. So I caught you before you head into your amazing workplace job today, just in time. I didn't even see you approaching my car. You just appeared like out of nowhere, like, "Hello, I'm here. My name's E."
I came in through the passenger window.
Just
climbed in
without even saying anything. You're punctual though. You're on time, so I appreciate that. So just to get started, tell the listeners here who you are, kind of what you do, maybe a basic rundown of what your life is kind of based about right now. And you're 26?
26, yeah.
26, right. 26 years of greatness. Tell them about it.
Well, I mean, all I do is work, basically. I work. I hang out with my boyfriend, Bobby Lopez.
Shout out Bobby Lopez!
Yeah, right? And on the off time that I don't work at where I work at,
right,
I am a drag queen, and I do shows at nighttime and sometimes during the day. It's pretty much, yeah.
Sometimes during the day. I like that. So, how did you get into that in the first place?
Into drag?
Yeah.
I mean,
just like how anybody else gets into it.
Right. It just, one day it just happens, and you just, something just clicks that it feels like it's something that you enjoy doing.
It's pretty fun,
you know,
right?
I started because my brother actually did it before I did.
Gotcha.
And I saw pictures of him, and I went to a gay pride in Philadelphia for when I was 16, I think it was. I don't remember.
When you were
and
16 years old. Okay.
I saw a drag queen performing, and I was like, hey, I can do that.
That doesn't look that hard at all.
At like 18, I just had an obsession with high heels with one of my closest friends, and we used to buy each other high heels until that evolved into me like putting on the frock and dancing on stage, you know?
Got you. So if you had to like compare the two, like your more professional life and then your like stage, like performing and stuff like that, which one do you enjoy the most? I assume it's drag, right?
I mean, yeah, because when you're working in drag, you're essentially working in a bar. So like the drinks are involved, and I mean, it's not necessarily frowned upon to be drunk and on stage, because I mean, you become more lively at certain points.
Right, a little bit more
drunk.
socially lubricated.
So like, I mean, I kind of tend to take that advantage of a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy it a lot more. I get to interact with like more sane people and not people that want to buy stuff angrily. You know?
That's true. E, like myself, currently works in retail, so it can be it can be very interesting to say the least, to put it mildly. So, would you ever think about doing that like full time, or would you just be like, oh, that's just my side hobby that I
honestly
engage in?
I would just leave it as a side hobby.
Gotcha.
I feel like if you make it into a full time thing, it kind of becomes work, and then you don't enjoy it as much. So.
That's very true. Fun stuff can become work very quickly.
Right.
I remember when I started retail just for fun, and look at me now. But another thing I wanted to get into, so I remember one night that we were closing the store, you told me a very interesting story of your life post high school, leading up until how you got here now, and I thought it was a really good story. So could you give me that was a pretty long story.
Yeah.
If you can give me like the abridged version of some of the ups and downs that have brought you to 26, say maybe starting when you were maybe like 18, 19 up until now. How did you get here?
Well, I mean, I've moved around a lot. I've gone from place to place. I've even hopped from couch to couch, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I was driven around. I lost control of my life in the sense that, like, I wasn't in charge of what I was doing, when I was doing it, and stuff like that. Like, I just let that up in the air. And essentially, I ended up in Allentown at one of my best friend's house, and, like, I helped him go through a really hard breakup, and he helped me, like, get my shit together. You know what I mean? So, it was a long process, and also meeting my partner like kind of woke me up too. Like he had his stuff together, I need to get my stuff together. But there was a lot of I don't even know how to say it.
Soul
Like
searching,
a lot of
discovery.
a lot of
Okay.
discovery involved in that, because like you get to understand how people react and how like their perspective matters just as much as your perspective.
Give me an example.
So, I mean, when you have an argument with somebody, they say there's two sides to every story kind of
Right.
deal, but there's
Right.
actually like one side of every story, and two people like
See it differently.
see it differently.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's why they said there's two sides to the story, but it's just perspective,
Yeah.
essentially.
Okay.
So, like, the way that I ended up going from house to house was based on people's perspective of why I was there or why I was there for so long and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I admit I don't want to be a burden on anybody too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's like a lot of thinking that I did throughout all that time that I wasn't in control of my life, and it sucked, you know?
So give me some of the, I guess, it's not really highlights jumping from couch to couch. I guess I'll say lowlights of when you kind of realized, man, I really need to get out of this, like, today.
Well, there was a time where I ended up in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes. This was probably the most interesting part of the story that you told
but
me.
I will not dive into that topic.
Fair
but in Philadelphia, like, I had a lot of people step into the picture and like step up and try to help me and whatever, and then like I didn't get the hint then, and I still ended up losing out of that situation. So I mean, that was probably one of the biggest waking moments in my like life, basically, because it also impacted my drag career as well. So that was, I would say that was probably the lowest of low lights.
Philadelphia. So it's the lowest of the low for a lot of people.
Well,
I think.
I don't want to say that like it's the city's fault or like the people's fault.
No,
It was just like that's where I ended at the bottom of the ditch. That was it for me. You know
just
what I mean?
happened to be there.
Yeah,
okay.
it just happened to be there.
Got you. And so, like a phoenix, you started to rise from the ashes.
I wouldn't say I rose. I kind of just like crawled out. And
pulled myself up barely. So, okay, so things were not going that great post high school. And to kind of rewind a little bit, so you didn't want to go like the traditional route of like college and all that type of stuff after high school, or did you? Like, what happened there?
So I did. It was just a lot of opportunities that just weren't there for me necessarily. Like I didn't have anyone to co-sign for me to actually pay for college, but I was actually accepted into college.
Where'd you get accepted to?
I got accepted at the Arts Institute of York.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because that's where Bobby was living. So if I would have gone to school,
look at that, it was destiny.
You know. But yeah, I got accepted there for
Yeah.
the Media Arts and Animation program, and I couldn't make the funds, so I took a year off, and then I got involved in a really disgusting relationship that like put me down a lot.
Right.
And from
Relationships
there
will do
on
that
was
sometimes.
when everything just started falling apart, basically.
Got you. Okay, so college didn't work out because of certain opportunities not being there. A relationship that was completely toxic from what it sounds like came about, so that was pretty terrible. And then from there, you started to climb up, rise up, whatever. So what was one of the first memories you have of something like starting to go right with you? Like, okay, I got this certain job or this certain opportunity went my way, and then from there, it started to go.
The first moment that I realized that I needed to turn life around was I went to, my one friend was giving up her title as Miss Gay Pennsylvania. It's like a drag title pageant system.
Gotcha.
So I was helping her with all the give ups, all like the preliminaries for the give up, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And at one of them, right before I went out, I was like, like, I'm just gonna enjoy myself today. I'm not gonna like think of the past. I'm not gonna think of anything that's gonna bring
Trying
me
to move
down.
forward.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
This is it. I'm gonna move forward from this point on, and just by me setting that mood on myself, like it kind of did uplift me, and I did have a great night, and I met some amazing people, and then like they started talking to me about it, like I opened up to them, and as they were talking to me, they were welcoming and not judgmental and stuff like that. So like that also brought a bright side to the situation, and I ended up getting a job at where I work at now.
Ta-da!
And I got a car, like a brand new car.
Nice.
Now I have my own apartment. Like, it's just I have a lot of things to be happy for now.
Right.
And that was like the turning point.
Got you. And so I remember one thing you were telling me when you told me that story originally was that like a change in mindset was a big reason of why you were able to kind of ascend to where you are now. So do you think, and this is something I've heard before, and it's kind of like a universal truth I sometimes think is right, but I sometimes think is wrong. I want to get your opinion on it. Do you believe that if you think about something enough, or if you have the certain mindset for something enough, that you can actually make it happen just via that?
I mean, that has a lot to do with as long as it's like your emotional, like your personal being. Like I could imagine myself having $1 million as much as I want, but
right, like I would have to work for that.
Can
you think it into existence?
I mean, for emotional stuff, I am a firm believer that like your mindset has a lot to do with how your body reacts to anything.
Okay.
So again, we fall on the perspective discussion.
Yeah, right.
As long as you're like what you see is what you want to achieve. Like if you just keep that in your mind constantly, like you can do it. You just got to keep working for it. It's like working out and dieting. You can't do one without the other and expect results. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know if that makes sense.
I think I get what you're saying. So are you saying that if it has to do with you yourself as a person, maybe not necessarily outside things, like if I want to turn my Ford Explorer into a BMW in like a month, maybe I couldn't do that just by thinking about it. But if it had to do with, say, me being a more positive person, or looking at things in a better light, if I think that enough, I believe I can do that enough, then I can actually make that happen. It's not beyond me when it involves me myself.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Gotcha.
I feel like that's what I was trying to say, actually.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm just great at interpreting people. Cool. So, and actually, to rewind again back to that arts and animation thing. So that's actually, is that like something you still keep up now in terms of like doing design? I remember one time you showed me like a few things you created on your iPad that were really like impressive.
I just do like little caricatures of a lot of drag queens I've done work for. I did do commissions for a little bit. I haven't done that in a while.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mainly focus on like doing the flyers for my shows now. I'm trying to get back into that more creative side of things, but I don't know if this is like a me thing, but I feel like I can, as an artist, I can only do things when I'm like inspired to do it.
Okay.
But like if I try to force myself to sit down with the iPad and like try to draw something, nothing will happen.
Okay, this is good. So one of the cruxes of this podcast involves like the modern day individual being able to balance their more cliche or like functional life, so say your 9-to-5 job or whatever, with like a more creative side and imaginative side. So is it for you, just how you were saying, that it kind of has to come to you organically? Have you ever been through periods where you tried to force it to work and it didn't work?
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of times where like even with drag, I would get a lot of shows in 1 week, and it would just get so tiring that I would just start doing the same numbers with the same costumes for like multiple shows.
Right, it became more formulaic rather than like spontaneous. And
correct.
Okay, got you. And so this is something I've had to deal with myself in terms of like photography and things like that, which is, kind of a different realm, but similar in terms of that you need inspiration and ideas and stuff like that to go forward. And has it ever got to you to the point where that you maybe didn't want to do drag or didn't want to, say, create these animations or caricatures anymore? Like you just thought you kind of burned out on it? Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, it definitely has. There were times where I just put it to the side. As far as the caricatures, I don't think I've ever done it with that. I put it to the side for months on end because like I don't have the inspiration, but I didn't. Right. It wasn't that I was burned out from it.
Okay.
I would say like with drag though, I did. There were times where I wanted to stop and like put everything on hold. There were times where I even told people I wasn't gonna do it anymore. I didn't, but here we are.
Here we are still. So how'd you get yourself out of that hole? Because sometimes as like an artist or creative, it feels like once you kind of get in that space, like just how you're saying, months on end can stack up, and it's just like you wake up, you're just like, nope, and you still don't feel it. How do you get yourself out of that period of being, kind of tired or burned out on something that you actually do enjoy, but it's just been done to such excess?
I mean, I would just go out and find inspiration as far as like go somewhere that's going to inspire you. Depending on what you do, like let's say for your photography, I would go somewhere that I've never been before, somewhere like that's very scenic. Like let's say I go on a hike or something to a really nice area.
Okay.
Like I feel like I could find inspiration for something from there. For me, it would be to like go out to other drag shows, support your local drag. You know what I mean? Like go out and see them, and some people will inspire you.
Right.
So maybe it's not even a nature thing. Maybe you just have to go out and hang out with your friends, and maybe they'll say something that will inspire you.
And actually, that's funny because a lot of the times I come up with some of my best ideas when I'm at work, or whether it's here or at my other job or whatever, or where I'm just doing some menial task in general, because my mind kind of wanders sometimes. Just does that ever happen to you at all, where you're, standing waiting for a customer to walk in with nothing better to do, and you're just like, maybe I could do this, this, and this? Does that ever become like a time of idea like generation for you?
Yeah, the problem is that I always forget them before
before
I get home.
I gotta get you like a notepad that you can write all this down
right
on. Okay, got you. And so you said drag would never kind of be a full-time thing, but in terms of what's next for you in your job, because obviously you're not going to work retail forever, so would you want to transition to something more creative being a full-time? The difficulty for me, I think, is because you have those ups and downs sometimes of, okay, I want to do this, and then for like 3 months I won't want to do it, and you can't do that with a job.
Right.
It's more formulaic, it's more regimented. Would you ever think about making that switch? Do you think that's something you could picture yourself doing? In whatever creative form. Maybe not necessarily like doing design for people, but just, creative in general.
I would love to do that.
Me too.
I would love to not have to deal directly with customers.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like it is definitely something that I am interested in doing, but I don't know which of the ones I would pick to do.
Avenues with you. Gotcha.
As far as caricatures, like I don't know if I could.
I mean, you seem pretty talented with it from what I've seen.
Yeah, but like people always say, don't compare yourself to other people in your same.
I do that all the time, though.
But like, we can't help it, And I see so many talented people on Instagram that like do the caricatures, and they're out there, like making their name known, and I'm just like, I'll just do this. I'll just do this because I like doing it. Like they deserve the credit because of how amazing their work is. Whereas I'm like, I'm just doing this for fun. I feel like sometimes when I'm doing the caricatures, I'm just coloring, like, in a book.
Okay.
So, there's that.
So, for you, it's not necessarily about, like, reaching some, like, creative height of, like, I want to be the best artist I can be. It's more just, I want to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I do it mainly for me. The people like it, but I don't do it.
Kind of just, okay, you like it, that's nice. Not necessarily I'm making it to be liked.
Right. I'm doing it because I need a creative outlet.
Right.
You asked me earlier something that I thought was gonna go differently, but it didn't.
What did I ask you?
Was
I forgot already.
I just did too. Wait, no, it was for like your everyday life, your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And that like as an escape to use your creative mind and stuff like that. I definitely agree with that. I think that's what you asked me earlier.
Something like that. Something along those lines, yeah.
I think that's actually like the best thing that you can do is use your talents as a creative outlet. If you can make money off of it, if you can make yourself known off of it, then by all means, go ahead and do that.
Go forward.
Like, you need to be seen. But if you just want to do it just like on the low and just for yourself, then do it too.
You can do that too.
That's what I like doing.
And I agree. It's definitely two sides to it. One thing I see a lot is, especially photography, you see people who are like Scott, for example, who we work with, is a pretty talented photographer, but he never really has thought about pursuing it to that next extent to make it like his full-time gig. It's more kind of like an enjoyment thing for him. But rather you have other people who say, okay, I'm going to quit my full-time job and I'm going to, blow up on Instagram or YouTube or whatever social media platform with my art. So it's I guess it's two like extremes, and then there's like a lot of stuff in between too. Okay, so if creativity isn't going to be your like mainstay job and retail isn't going to be your mainstay job for sure, what do you think is next for you?
I don't know. I would really honestly would love to have a job as an astronomer, but that's like clearly not going to happen.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you brought that. You're a very scientifically factually inclined person. Like you enjoy like the facts of the world or just life in general.
The crazy
yeah,
stuff.
like
really
dimensional theory and like stuff like that.
Oh my
Why?
I don't know. I think it's.
Did you like astronomy in high school or something?
Yes, actually, in
Okay,
ninth grade, I wanted to be an astronomer.
Okay.
But that was short lived, and now I feel like it was a seed for something that I should have followed. But
I mean, you're not like 50 yet. You're only 26, so you can still do it if you wanted to.
But from that point on, like I've always had an interest in like the things that are not 100% factual, but like are so scientifically 95% factual.
Like theories.
Yes.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Scientific theories.
Okay, got you. So would you? So now 26, you're finding stability now. Realistically, if you maybe put a lot of effort and time toward it, you could probably go back to school in that direction and maybe achieve that goal. Would you ever like actually seriously have you ever I should say have you seriously ever thought about it? Like, I could do this.
I definitely want, like, I still have a desire to go to like school.
Oh, you want to still?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But then at the same time, there's people in my age that have gone to school, that have degrees, that are making less than I'm making. You know what I mean? Like,
that also happens.
It doesn't work out all the time. So like
No.
I feel like that's the fear in my heart is that I'm just gonna put all this money into it, and then it's not gonna work out, and I should have just stayed like living the nice chilled life that I live. But it could work out, and then my life could just turn around. You know what I mean? So it's just I don't know.
If there's one thing I've learned, and this is one of my, it's funny, my advisor at school actually told me about this when I was kind of like thinking about like what jobs to apply for, like what I'm gonna do next in my life, basically with my degree. He was saying that in life there's no such thing as a perfect decision. You just kind of take the information you have at the time and try to make the decision that feels right. And in a way, it's like you'll regret no matter what you do. So if if it goes well and you do whatever you're saying, oh yeah, I made the right decision. But if it doesn't go well and you chose that, you'll regret to say, oh, I should just stay where I was. But if you stay where you are now, maybe you could have, and there'll always be that seed of doubt. So maybe it's not gonna be like a perfect decision of just like the stars aligning. It's just kind of going to be going forward and just saying, okay, I'm gonna either do it or not do it.
I see what you're saying.
Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I do. It's like being afraid to cross the bridge just because there's a couple planks missing.
Yeah, exactly. Not everything is, what's the word, elucidated and made clear, but the bridge is still there.
Right. I mean, I could just jump
Cross
over.
that bridge, people. Cross that bridge. Okay.
Elucidated.
That's high-level vocabulary for you.
I've never heard that word.
You haven't?
No. What
I'm
does
pretty
it mean?
sure I hope I used it in the right context. People are going to be in my comments like, you idiot. But elucidated basically means to, from the way I understand it at least, to make something clear or more understandable.
Oh.
So, yeah. Vocabulary with the media. But other than being an astronomer, because that's obviously that's a lot of schooling. That's not like, okay, I want to be like a businessman. Like you could kind of do that now if you wanted to. But that's like probably a decade or more worth of schooling. Is there any other avenues you consider, or maybe doing like I said, business, or going into the health field, or?
I don't like math.
Work. Oh, you don't like? Okay, well,
math.
I'm not sure if astronomy is going to be for you after
Neither
all.
astronomy nor media arts and animation would be ideal because they both involve a lot of math. A lot of algebra, actually.
Algebra, okay, gotcha.
And
I didn't know that.
I despise that.
Geometry, too, I assume?
What?
I said geometry, too, I assume, for the design aspect?
Maybe for media arts. I'm not sure about astronomy.
Okay. Okay.
But,
a lot of math involved.
Yeah, a lot of math. A lot of guessing work in astronomy, too.
Right.
But I've never thought about it. I've never thought about anything else. Like, those are the only things that I could fit myself into. If I had to fit a mold, those are the only things. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I've never actually thought of anywhere else to go or anything else to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll have to revisit this topic one day and see if you came with anything else. So, do you, in your free time, what do you do actually in your free time? Do you look up like possible passions? Do you do a lot of research into things that may interest you to kind of find where you're going next? Are you more kind of just like relaxing and enjoying that boat ride of where you are now? What does free time for E look like?
Free time for me right now, it's a lot
Sleeping.
a lot of sleeping, video games.
Oh right, I forgot you are a gamer somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do watch like all these scientifically weird videos, like top 10 and stuff like that on YouTube. I like to keep myself informed on certain topics, I guess.
Do you read a lot? You seem like the type of guy who would read.
I used to.
You used to.
I have a whole like bookshelf filled with books at home.
Oh, okay. That you've read or that you
that
want
I
to
have
read?
read.
That you have read. Okay.
I just haven't read any books lately. I did audiobooks, but
my mom has become addicted to those in the past.
I mean,
months.
it's genius. I have to drive like an hour to work, so I just do a chapter there, chapter home, and finish in like a couple of days.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
What are you into reading?
Well, I mean, I'm hugely a fan of the Harry Potter books.
Oh, right. I forgot. How did I forget that? True. You
that's
are
like
big
fact
Harry
number
Potter.
one about Isai
That is
Alvarez.
That's a big fact. So you read those. Are you Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones?
I've always wanted to do the Lord of the Rings. I always wanted to read the books. I've never actually found out which books are which or like how many books there are, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
but
I heard they were like ridiculously long.
I do want to do that. As far as Game of Thrones, I feel like I would stick better with the TV show. From what I understand, the writing of the books is a little bit different than what I'd like to read.
Okay.
And don't ask me how that is because I don't remember. I just remember me saying I don't like to read that style.
Okay, so you've like trialed it before and you were just like,
yeah.
Nah. Okay, got you.
I've read The Hunger Games.
Oh, right.
I just found out today that she's writing another book that comes out next year.
Yeah.
Which I'm hyped for. So
I haven't read either of them, so I need to pick it up.
They're so good.
From what I hear, it's really good. Like it's a really good series. Up there, maybe not Harry Potter level.
No,
definitely not. Right? No, absolutely not. But also worth a read. Okay, got you. So we've went through kind of your point to getting here, what may or may not be next, interests, stuff like that. So if there could be one kind of truth that you've learned throughout your journey here and something that you kind of want to keep in your mind as you go forward. I know you told me about the whole perspective thing, but is there another kind of lesson that you've learned to say, okay, if you remember nothing else, make sure you remember this and apply it to your life, because if you do, you'll be in a good stead. What would that be?
It'd probably be the perspective thing. Honestly,
that's the center. Okay.
Not everyone looks at things the same way, and something that doesn't offend you may offend somebody else. You know what I mean? So like, opinions are your opinions, and when they're welcome to be shared, you share them. When they're not, guess what? You just keep it to yourself. Because like, some people don't like to share opinions. Some people do like to share opinions. It all comes down to perspective.
It all comes down to perspective. Okay, I think I have the title for this episode. With the word that we probably said the most, perspective.
Elucidated?
I should have elucidated. Okay, so that was all the questions I had. Was there anything you wanted to add that you wanted people to know? Do you want to shout out like your Instagram or anything like that?
Sure.
Follow me on Isai.
It's OMGISAI.
Right.
And that's my Instagram tag. Yeah, if you want to follow.
If you want to follow. If you don't, because it's all about perspective anyway. Okay. Thank you, E, for sitting down with me. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Anytime. So that has been MugenCast episode 18 with Isai Alvarez. Like you heard, at OMG Isai if you want to go see what else he's been up to and see what other books and other things that he's reading and what other stars that he's researching. Thank you guys for listening. Really appreciate it as usual. Peace out.
Bye.